Welcome back Chessbox Worldwide. Today we shall be focusing on how to win with Sicilian against e4. This game is a masterpiece played between FIDE master Mompel Ferruz Xavier from Equatorial Guinea and Houssein Mohamed Bilal from Djibouti during the 45th Olympiad Budapest, Hungary in 2024. So about the players, Xavier Mompel Ferruz is a young chess player from Equatorial Guinea. Born in 2010, he holds the title of FIDE Master FM, which he achieved in 2024. And was previously a candidate master CM in 2023. He is currently ranked #1 in the country. He has participated in various tournaments, including the 45th FIDE Chess Olympiad in 2024, where he achieved notable upsets against high-rated players. While Mohamed Bilal Hussein, chess player born in 2002 from Djibouti, ranked #2 in the country. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the center of African chess. In the white pieces, FIDE master Mompel Ferruz Xavier opened the game with 1e4. Houssein Mohamed Bilal in the black pieces played c5, the Sicilian defense. Knight f3, we see d6, the main line. So we see d4, c takes d4, knight takes d4. So the essence of knight takes d4 gives room for white to go ahead and push the pawn f4 in the future. That's why we see knight f6 hitting on the pawn, and we see knight c3 defending the pawn on e4. If black goes ahead play g6, this one takes us the Sicilian dragon. Knight c6 brings us the classical variation in the Sicilian, but however in this position Bilal played s6, the Sicilian knight off variation. In this position bishop comes to e3 and h3 are far the best moves played in this position. FIDE master Xavier played bishop e3, preparing queen d2, preparing long castling in the future. So in this position black has only one good move, which is pawn comes to e5, which was played by Mohamed Bilal. e5 hitting on the knight, and after knight b3, bishop e6 or bishop e7 are key. Mohamed Bilal first of all played bishop e7, preparing to go for short castling, and after h3 cutting off a knight g4 moves. Then we see bishop comes to e6, and in this position he played f4, which is absolutely the best move in the position. So in this game he went on to play pawn takes f4, but however knight c6 should have been considered. For example, after knight c6, in case of f5, then bishop takes b3, a takes b3, knight b4, trying to support d4 break, and now in case of g3, opening up the bishop can put an eye on this diagonal. d5 is a very powerful move, and I can tell you at least black can try to equalize in this game. But however, after f4, he played e takes f4, and after bishop takes f4, we see knight c6. Queen e2, preparing to go ahead for long castling, because now remember, the rook is going to be sitting on the d file. So now we see knight comes to e5, long castling. This arises a tactic, because now remember, the rook has pinned down pawn against the queen. So bishop takes knight on e5, the threat, knight d7. In case of bishop takes, then the knight can take the knight back. So we see g4 to open the bishop to sit on g2, rook c8. And in this position, queen d2 should have been considered, and then short castling would have been played. But however, he played queen g2 in this position. Ladies and gentlemen, Mohamed Bilal played like Tal. He played rook takes knight on c3. Fantastic move. Trying to take control. Remember, the knight which has been seated on c3 has been putting control on the pawn which is on e4 and also on the d5 square. But now, since it's away, he played rook takes the knight on c3, and now we see d takes c3. In this position, he played the next best move. He played queen c7, hitting on the pawn which is on c3. Queen g3 was played. Pawn g5 was the best move to continue with the game, but however, he played b5. But for example, in case of g5, which was going to be absolutely the best move in the position, bishop will fall down on d2, defending the pawn which is on c3. Then we see knight b6, and you see that knight b6 is a nice one. We have a look at knight f4, which can be hitting on the two soft spots. c4 would have been played. Then knight takes pawn, bishop takes knight, queen takes c4, queen c3, requesting for an exchange, queen f4, avoiding the exchange, queen b4, and then queen takes a2. We see that now the queen is trying to enter, supported by the rook, which is going to be sitting on c8 to hit on the pawn which is on c2. Bishop e3, trying to stop any possible checks from the queen. And now we see short castling bring the rook on c8 to hit on this bishop, which is on c3. Bishop takes e5, rook c8, threatening checkmate in 1. And in case of bishop c3, then bishop takes knight, and after queen takes b3, queen takes b3, c takes b3, rook takes c3 check, and after king d2, bishop f6, the game is equal. But however, after queen g3, he played b5. FIDE Master Xavier didn't wait for g5 to happen. He played g5 himself, stopping any g5 ideas by black. Now we see knight b6. And now in this position, knight d4 should have been considered, followed by knight f4. But however, he played king d2, moving away the king from harm's way. Now we see knight f4, trying to hit on the soft spots, knight d4, and now short castling. In this position, h4 should have been considered, followed by knight g6, but however, he played knight takes e6. And in this position, we see f takes e6, because now it's opening up for the rook to attack the bishop, which is on f4. In this position, he played bishop takes e5, but however, the best move for white would have been bishop g2. For example, in case of bishop g2, then we would see knight check, and after king e1, queen f5, hitting on the pawn with 2 pieces. Remember, this is a soft spot. Rook d3, defending the pawn, knight c5, attacking the rook. Rook comes to d1, queen takes a2, rook f1, queen takes c2. After rook f2, queen b3, black would have a slight advantage in the position. Still, even after bishop g2, there is also another interesting continuation. It can begin with rook takes f4, and after queen takes f4, d5, opening up for the black bishop, and after rook comes to f1, bishop d6, king e2, knight takes c3 check, forking the king and the rook, and this still can be purely winning for black. Let's go back. But after pawn takes e6, he played bishop takes e5, and in this position, d takes e5 was played, bishop d3, and now queen takes c3 check, king e2, queen b4 should have been considered, trying to maintain the queen to stay in this dark diagonal. But however, I played queen d4, opening a square where the knight can come in, knight c3, forking the rook and the king. And now we see rook moves away from the potential fork, knight c3 check, and after king e1, rook d8. In this position, rook f6 is a nice one. In case of rook f6, in case of pawn takes, then pawn takes check, and this can be checkmate in a few moves. That's why after rook d8, he played queen f2, trying to bring the queen to check the king on f7. But however, queen g1 was the best move in the position, and after queen b4, f3, queen f5, maintaining the pin, and after queen g4, knight takes e4, double check, check from the queen, king goes to e2, queen d2, king f3, knight takes g5 check, and after king g3, e4, this would give black a huge advantage. Let's go back. After rook d8, he played queen f2, and this was an inaccuracy because in this position he played queen b4, but however, that was a very strong move in the position. Queen takes e4 check, and in case of bishop takes queen, then we would see rook d1 checkmate. Let's go back. After queen takes e4, in case of king coming back to d2, then now queen will still go back to b4, maintaining the pin, and I can tell you at least black has a huge advantage in this position. Let's go back. After queen f2, he played queen b4, defending the bishop, which is on e7, and also trying to maintain the pin with the king. So we see queen f7 check, and after king goes back to h8, in this position he played f3, attacking the queen. Queen takes f3 should have been considered. In case of queen takes f3, we would see king f2, rook f8, pinning the queen against the king. Takes rook, takes queen, king g2, queen b4, rook f3, knight takes e4, and after bishop takes e4, queen takes e4, rook d1. At least this would give black a huge advantage. But after f3, he blundered the game and he played knight takes e4, which blundered the whole queen, and white played pawn takes queen, and in this position Mohamed Bilal from Djibouti resigned the game on the spot. Thank you for watching, and I wish you the best of luck in your games.